The alien girl ran through the thick, glowing forest, her small feet crushing the soft moss beneath her, her heart beating fast with fear. She had never felt this scared before. The shadows of giant trees twisted around her, and the wind whispered. Like a warning, every step she took made a soft crunch that seemed too loud in the quiet night. She glanced behind her, and the dark shapes of the tribe's hunters moved closer, their eyes shining with a cruel hunger. She stumbled over a root. Her hands scraping against the rough bark, pain burned her palms. But she could not stop. Not now. Not when freedom was so close, yet so far. The hunters shouted, their voices rough and angry. Sending shivers down her spine, she tried to hide behind a large glowing rock, hoping they would pass. But the tribe was too clever. They were tracking her, not missing a single step, not letting the fear in her eyes escape their notice. Her mind raced. She thought of her home on the far side of the forest, where the soft blue lights of her village would make her feel safe. She remembered the warm laughter of her friends and the smell of the crystal flowers in the air, but those memories only made her run faster. The forest seemed endless, the trees taller than ever, and the sounds of strange creatures echoed around her, making her even more nervous. Suddenly, she saw a small cave ahead, dark and hidden behind thick vines. Maybe she could hide there. Maybe the hunters would not find her. She ran toward it, slipping on wet moss, her breathing loud in her ears. But as she reached the entrance, a strong hand grabbed her shoulder. Spinning her around, she gasped, her wide eyes meeting the cold, cruel gaze of the tribe's leader. "Got you at last," he hissed, his voice low and dangerous. He lifted her off the ground dizzily, as if she weighed nothing, and she struggled in his grip, kicking and screaming, but it was useless. His large hands were firm, unyielding, and her strength was nothing against his. The other hunters surrounded her, their shadows long and frightening in the dim forest light. She realized she had no way to escape. The trap had closed around her. She fell to her knees, trembling, her mind spinning with fear and confusion. "Please, please don't hurt me," she begged, her voice shaking. But the hunters only laughed, a deep, cruel sound that made her stomach twist. The leader leaned close, his cold breath brushing her face. "You should have thought about running before," he said, and the hunters laughed again, circling her like hungry wolves. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them quickly. Not wanting to show more weakness, she had to think, had to find a way out, even if it seemed impossible, even if death felt close. Her instincts screamed at her to fight, to survive, but fear made her body weak. She looked around for something, anything, a stick, a rock, a branch she could use, but the forest floor was bare, and she was surrounded. Suddenly, a branch snapped behind the hunters, and they all froze. Their eyes darted around, searching, but no one could see the source. The girl's heart skipped a beat. Could someone be coming? Could there be a chance for her now? She held her breath, hoping, praying, but the hunters did not wait. They tightened their grip, dragging her through the forest toward the edge of the village. Her legs dragged on the ground, scraping against sharp stones, her skin stinging. She tried to scream, but her voice was lost in the wind, in the trees, in the dark night. Every second felt like an eternity, her mind filled with desperate thoughts of escape. She imagined running into the forest again, hiding in the tall, glowing grass, finding a safe place where the tribe could never reach her. But with every step, hope seemed to fade, and the hunters' laughter echoed in her ears, drowning out everything else. Finally, they reached a clearing, where the tribe had built a small cage of metal and stone. The girl's eyes widened, fear freezing her in place. This was it, her fate decided by the cruel hands of strangers. She was lifted and placed inside the cage, the cold metal bars pressing against her skin. The leader stepped back, arms crossed, smiling cruelly, while the other hunters disappeared into the forest. Leaving her alone, the alien girl sank to the ground. Hugging her knees to her chest, her eyes full of tears, she whispered to herself, "I have to survive. I have to escape." Though she did not know how, her mind raced with fear and hope. The night around her full of strange sounds, every rustle and whisper making her jump, she could feel the weight of the tribe's power. And yet, deep inside, a small spark of courage remained. A tiny voice telling her not to give up as she sat there trembling in the cold. She promised herself that she would find a way, that she would not let them win. The night stretched endlessly, but she held on to that small spark, waiting for something, anything, to change her fate. And somewhere, far away in the forest, something stirred, a presence she did not yet see, a chance she did not yet know existed. The alien girl pressed herself against the cold metal bars of the cage, her small body shaking with fear. She stared into the dark forest beyond, hoping for a miracle, hoping someone would appear, but all she could see were the shadows of the tall, twisted trees. The wind whispered softly through the leaves, carrying strange, unrecognizable sounds that made her ears twitch. Every rustle made her heart jump. Every snap of a twig felt like the hunters returning. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to calm herself, but panic bubbled up inside her like a storm. She had never felt this trapped, never felt the walls of fear close in so tightly. The cage felt smaller with every passing second, the cold biting her arms, and the thought of what might come next made her stomach twist. She remembered her home, the soft glowing lights, the laughter of her friends. But the memory only made her feel lonelier. Her stomach growled, hunger gnawed at her, and thirst burned her throat. The hunters had taken everything from her. Leaving her alone in the cage, the forest around her felt alive, full of eyes watching, full of danger waiting for a moment of weakness. She hugged her knees closer, trying to make herself smaller, trying to disappear, but fear made her shiver. And the cage seemed impossibly small. She tried to think, tried to plan, but her mind was a whirlwind of panic. How could she escape when the hunters were always one step ahead? How could she survive when everything she knew was far away? She looked at the ground, at the rough stones and dirt beneath her, wondering if she could dig, but the metal bars were too strong, too heavy, unyielding. She sighed, a small, hopeless sound that the night swallowed. Suddenly, a strange sound broke through the silence. Something soft, something different. The alien girl froze, her ears straining. Could it be another hunter, or a creature, or something else entirely? She held her breath, listening carefully. Her heart pounded, loud enough that she thought the forest itself could hear it. Every shadow seemed alive, moving closer, yet nothing appeared, the sound fading into the distance. Leaving her alone again, tears welled up in her eyes, and she wiped them quickly, not wanting to feel weak. She refused to give in to despair, even as the night stretched endlessly around her. Every second felt like an eternity, the cage becoming a prison not only of metal, but of fear itself. She whispered to herself, "I cannot give up. I must find a way," even though she did not know how. Even though hope felt like a fragile thread about to snap, her mind wandered to the hunters. Imagining their cruel laughter and the cold satisfaction in their eyes, she shivered at the thought, but it also lit a spark of determination. She would not let them win. She would fight, she would survive, even if it seemed impossible. Her tiny hands gripped the bars, fingers white with tension, thinking of every possible escape. Every trick she might use, but nothing came to her. Only fear and desperation. The night grew darker, and strange creatures began to move in the forest, their glowing eyes appearing like small stars in the shadows. The alien girl held her breath, terrified of the unknown, yet strangely fascinated. She had never been so close to real danger, never felt the forest so alive, each movement outside. The cage made her heart skip, the unknown pressing against her mind like a heavy weight. She whispered again, "Please, someone, help me," her voice barely audible in the night. Minutes stretched into hours, or maybe it was only moments. She could not tell. Time felt twisted in the darkness, the cold biting her skin. Her hunger and thirst gnawing at her, yet inside her, a small flame of hope refused to die. She imagined running again, hiding among the trees, finding a place where the hunters could not reach her. The thought of freedom made her pulse quicken. But doubt pressed heavily on her mind. Could she survive? Could she truly escape? Suddenly, a sound different from the forest. A soft, careful step echoed nearby. She froze, her eyes wide, staring at the dark shapes of the trees. Could it be another hunter, or something else entirely? Her heart raced, every nerve in her body alert. She strained her eyes to see. But the night swallowed all movement, leaving her alone with fear. Yet a strange feeling stirred inside, a flicker of something new. A chance she did not yet understand. The alien girl sank to the ground, hugging her knees once more. The cage, cold beneath her, but even in the deep, endless night, the desperation in her chest was joined by a small, stubborn hope. She refused to give in completely, refused to let the hunters decide her fate. Somewhere out there, beyond the shadows and danger she felt, someone might come. Someone might change everything. The forest whispered around her, full of fear, full of possibility, as she waited, trembling for what would happen next. The alien girl pressed herself tighter against the cold metal bars, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps. The forest around her was silent for a moment. But then a strange sound echoed through the trees, soft at first, like a whisper, then louder, more deliberate. She froze, every muscle in her body tense, listening carefully. Her ears strained to catch every note, every crackle of the night. She did not recognize this sound. It was not the hunters, it was not the wind, yet it made her skin crawl. The sound came again, a rhythmic tapping, like footsteps on dry leaves, moving slowly, cautiously. The alien girl's heart pounded. She glanced through the bars, trying to see, but the darkness swallowed everything. Shadows moving strangely among the tall trees. The cage felt smaller, tighter, the metal pressing against her trembling body. Her mind raced, imagining every possibility. Was it another hunter, coming to capture her again, or some wild creature? Drawn to the noise she had made, fear gripped her chest. Squeezing so tightly it was hard to breathe, she tried to calm herself, repeating the small words she always whispered when scared. Stay calm, think, survive. But the forest seemed alive, filled with whispers and shifting shapes. Each sound echoed like a warning, making her jump. Her claws scraped against the bars as she looked around desperately, searching for a sign, a clue, anything that could tell her what was coming. The tapping grew closer, more confident. Moving around the edge of the clearing, the alien girl's eyes widened. She could see small patches of moonlight breaking through the canopy, illuminating the ground in silver. The shadows moved strangely, bending and twisting, as if something intelligent was walking among them. She could feel her pulse in her throat, every beat loud enough to echo in her own ears. She wanted to call out, to scream, but fear kept her silent, frozen in place. Suddenly, a branch snapped near the edge of the forest, sharp and sudden. Her body jumped, the cage rattling as she pressed back against the bars. The tapping stopped for a moment, replaced by a soft, low hum, almost musical, almost comforting. Yet strange and unknown, her curiosity battled with fear. She wondered what it could be, and for the first time, a small part of her hoped it might not be danger, but help. She crouched low, Her eyes wide, scanning every shadow, every movement. The strange sounds continued, moving slowly, deliberately. Around her cage, as if circling her, she could hear small rustles, soft whispers of movement. Her ears catching every tiny shift. The alien girl's mind spun with possibilities. Each one more frightening than the last, yet she could not stop thinking, could not stop imagining. What if someone had come to save her? What if this was the moment everything changed? The tapping stopped suddenly, leaving the forest silent once more. The girl held her breath, her small body trembling. Waiting, listening, hoping. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. But she could feel the presence, some energy in the air. She did not know who or what it was, but it made her heart race with both fear and hope. She pressed her face against the bars, straining her eyes to see through the darkness. Then, a soft glow appeared beyond the trees. Faint at first, like a distant star, but it grew steadily, illuminating the shadows. The tapping began again, closer this time, and she could hear the soft crunch of footsteps on the forest floor. Careful, controlled, the alien girl's pulse quickened. She realized the presence was moving toward her, moving through the darkness with purpose. She could feel her fear and hope colliding inside her, twisting together in a tight knot. She whispered to herself, barely audible, "Who is it? What is it? Can it help me?" The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the answer. The strange presence moved closer, the glow brighter now, revealing shapes among the trees. Shapes that were not the hunters, shapes that seemed almost human. Her small hands gripped the bars tightly, knuckles white. Her eyes were wide, searching, hoping to see someone who could change everything. The tapping stopped directly in front of her cage, and the glow brightened, shining over her trembling form. The alien girl froze, her heart pounding so loudly it felt like it might burst. She could see a figure standing there, tall and calm, radiating a sense of power and safety she had never felt before. Every nerve in her body screamed, yet she could not look away. She felt, deep in her chest, that this presence, whoever it was, could change her fate, could change everything. She did not know what would happen next, only that the world had shifted, that the night was no longer only full of danger. The strange sounds had brought something new, something alive, something that might save her. Her small heart trembled with a mixture of fear, hope, and anticipation. She hugged her knees close, waiting, watching, wondering what this new presence would do, and whether her fate would finally turn. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the night pressing close, thick with shadows and whispers. The alien girl hugged her knees tighter, her eyes wide as she stared at the glowing figure standing before her cage. The light shimmered across the bars, casting strange patterns on her trembling body. She could not believe what she was seeing. Something had come, and it was unlike anything she had ever seen. The figure stepped closer, each movement calm and confident, yet filled with power. The alien girl could feel it even from inside the cage, a strange warmth that seemed to push back the fear. The tapping and whispers from the forest had stopped, leaving only the quiet hum of the figure's presence. Her heart pounded in her chest, and she could barely breathe. Her small hands gripped the bars, knuckles white, as she watched, unsure whether to be afraid or hopeful. Then the figure spoke, and the voice was gentle yet strong, filling the night like a quiet storm. "You are safe now," it said. The words, strange but soothing. The alien girl's ears twitched, unsure if she had heard correctly. Safe. Could anyone be safe here? Not after everything she had seen? Not after the hunters and the cold metal cage. She wanted to believe it, wanted to hope, but fear still curled around her like a living thing. The glow shifted, revealing more details of the figure, a human tall and strong, with sharp, calm eyes that seemed to see everything. The alien girl's eyes widened. She had heard of humans, of their courage and cunning, but she had never seen one up close, never imagined one coming. For her, her small chest rose and fell rapidly. She could feel something inside her beginning to change. A small spark of hope lighting up the darkness. The human knelt down slightly, bringing a hand close to the bars, not touching, but close enough that the girl could feel the warmth. "Do not be afraid," the voice said again, calm and reassuring. She felt an odd sensation, a mix of relief and confusion. Could she trust this stranger? Could someone from a different world truly want to help? Her mind raced, every instinct telling her to run, but every instinct also telling her this might be her only chance. The alien girl swallowed hard, her lips trembling. "Why? Why are you here?" she whispered, voice small, almost lost in the night. The human smiled faintly, the glow from his presence shimmering across the forest floor. "Because no one deserves to be treated like this," he said simply, yet with a weight that made her heart pound. She could feel it, the truth in his words. The promise of protection, something she had not felt since she had been captured. The hunter's laughter echoed faintly from the distance, reminding her of the danger. Still close, but the human did not flinch, did not hesitate. He looked toward the shadows of the trees, calm and unafraid, and for the first time, the alien girl saw that maybe, just maybe, she was not alone. She dared to look closer, and the human's eyes met hers. Sharp, intelligent, and full of determination. Then he did something unexpected. He reached into a small bag at his side and pulled out a glowing device. Its light pulsed softly, and the shadows seemed to shift away from the clearing. The alien girl gasped, the device hummed, and the forest responded, leaves moving as if alive, branches bending slightly. The human did not explain, but his presence alone told her this was powerful, capable, someone who could challenge even the hunters. The alien girl's fear battled with awe, her small heart racing. Could this stranger truly help her escape? Could he turn the night from a cage into freedom? She pressed herself closer to the bars, trying to understand, watching every subtle movement. Every step the human took was precise, deliberate, showing that he was not just strong, but clever, aware of the dangers and ready for them. Finally, he reached the front of the cage, placing a hand near the lock, not touching yet, testing, observing. His calm confidence radiated outward, and for the first time since capture, the alien girl allowed herself to breathe a little easier. "I will get you out of here," he said, quiet but firm. And she felt the weight of those words sink into her chest. The cage no longer seemed like a prison, at least not completely. She nodded slightly, unable to speak, the hope inside her stronger than the fear. The human stood upright, still calm, still glowing softly in the dark forest. The hunters were out there, waiting, but she felt, deep in her chest, that things were about to change, that this human had come for her, and nothing would be the same again. Her small hands relaxed slightly, and for the first time, she dared to imagine running, escaping, surviving. The night seemed less heavy, the shadows less threatening as the human began to work on the lock carefully, deliberately. While the alien girl watched, heart pounding, hope growing, she did not know what would happen next. But she felt, somehow, that the arrival of this human was the first step toward freedom, toward a new fate, toward a future she had not yet dared to dream of. The forest whispered around her, full of danger, but also possibility. The alien girl's heart pounded so loudly, it felt as if the entire forest could hear it. The human stood in front of the cage, calm and confident, while the shadows of the hunters lingered at the edge of the clearing, watching, waiting, there. Eyes glowed with anger and hunger, and the cold wind carried the faint scent of danger. The alien girl pressed her hands to the bars, trembling, unsure whether to feel fear or hope. The hunters stepped forward, their leader raising a hand, signaling. "The others, do not move," he growled, his voice deep and harsh. "She is ours." The human's eyes met the leader's, sharp and unyielding. His presence was strong, radiating a quiet power that made even the hunters hesitate. The alien girl felt her chest tighten. She had never seen anyone stand against them so confidently. Not even in her wildest dreams. "Back away," the human said calmly, voice firm, carrying through the clearing like a wave. The hunters laughed, low and cruel, the sound echoing through the forest, mocking him, yet he did not flinch, did not raise his voice further. He simply stood there, unwavering. As if daring the hunters to make the first move, the alien girl's hope stirred, a small flame flickering inside her chest. The leader of the hunters stepped closer, his hand twitching toward a weapon at his side. "You think you can stop us?" He spat, his eyes cold and sharp. The human's gaze never wavered. Still calm, still deliberate. And in that moment, the alien girl realized this was no ordinary human. This was someone who could face danger head-on, someone who did not fear them, and that thought gave her courage. Tiny but growing, the hunters circled slowly, trying to find an opening. Their movements sharp and careful, but the human shifted with them. Mirroring their steps, anticipating their actions, the alien girl's eyes widened as she watched, heart racing. He was more than strong, he was clever, reading their movements like a game, a deadly game, and refusing to lose. The tension in the clearing was thick, almost suffocating, and every sound, the wind, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of creatures felt like part of it. The alien girl whispered to herself, her voice trembling. "Can he really do this? Can he save me?" Her small hands clutched the bars as she watched the silent standoff. The hunters paused, glancing at each other, uncertainty flickering in their eyes for the first time. The human took a slow step forward, calm and deliberate. His presence filling the clearing, and the alien girl could almost feel the fear of the hunters shift. Just slightly. Then the leader raised his weapon, pointing it toward the human, ready to strike. The alien girl's breath caught in her throat, frozen. She thought this was the end. The moment everything she hoped for would be destroyed. But the human did not panic, did not flinch. He simply raised one hand. A gesture, small but commanding, and the forest seemed to pause with him. The hunters hesitated, caught between fear and rage, unsure what would happen next. The tension stretched, every second lasting an eternity. The alien girl felt sweat run down her face, her hands gripping the bars so tightly they hurt. Her mind raced, imagining every possible outcome, every danger, every chance of escape. Yet she also dared to imagine hope, a small, fragile hope that this human could truly protect her. The standoff seemed endless, the forest itself holding its breath, waiting for the moment when someone would move. The human spoke, voice low but firm. "Leave her," he said. Words simple, yet carrying weight like a hammer. The hunters froze, the leader's jaw tightening, fury and disbelief warring in his eyes. The alien girl could see it, could feel it in the air. A shift, a crack in their confidence. The human's calm power was like a force she could not see, but could feel, and it made her heart race with cautious hope. For a moment, silence ruled. The only sound, the rustling leaves and distant calls of the night creatures. The alien girl dared to hope, her chest tightening with anticipation. The hunters whispered among themselves, their confidence shaken. The human took a slow step closer to the cage, never aggressive, never threatening, simply in control. And the alien girl felt a surge of relief. She realized that maybe, just maybe, this human could change everything, could turn the night into safety. Finally, the leader growled, lowering his weapons slightly. The others hesitating behind him, the human's eyes never left the alien girl. Still calm, still unwavering, he was waiting for the hunters to decide, waiting for them to choose, and in that moment, the alien girl felt a flicker of hope ignite. Into a flame, her small hands relaxed on the bars, her trembling easing just a little. She knew that the arrival of this human was the turning point, that the standoff would decide her fate. She whispered to herself, voice barely audible, maybe I can survive. Maybe he can save me. The night held its breath around them, full of tension, full of possibility. As the human and the hunters faced each other, the alien girl at the center, waiting for the next move that would change everything. The alien girl's small hands rested lightly on the bars, her eyes darting between the human and the hunters, her heart racing with every passing second. The tension in the clearing was thick, almost visible. Like a storm waiting to break, the human stayed calm, standing tall in front of her cage, his presence radiating quiet authority, and the hunters shifted uneasily under his gaze. Unsure how to proceed, the leader stepped forward, jaw tight, eyes burning with anger. "You have no right to interfere," he hissed, voice low and threatening. The human's eyes met his steadily. Calm and unflinching, "I have every right to stop cruelty," he said simply, voice steady, the forest around them seeming too quiet in response. The alien girl felt a strange warmth, a sense of safety she had not felt since her capture. Her hope growing, the hunters murmured among themselves, glancing at their leader, uncertainty flickering in their eyes for the first time. They had never met anyone who challenged them like this. Someone who did not cower or flee. The alien girl's chest tightened with anticipation. She realized that the human's calm confidence was a weapon stronger than any blade, a force that made even the cruel hunters hesitate. The leader's voice grew louder, filled with fury. "She is ours, and you cannot stop us." He gestured toward the alien girl, his hand sharp and commanding. The human shook his head slightly, expression unchanging. "She is not yours to take," he said, words soft but powerful, carrying the weight of certainty. The alien girl's small heart raced. She had never heard anyone speak with such conviction, and it filled her with courage. The hunters shifted, looking around nervously, their eyes darting to the shadows of the trees, as if the forest itself were watching. The alien girl noticed the subtle change, the way fear crept into their posture and hope rose inside her. Small but insistent, she pressed closer to the bars, whispering to herself, maybe he can save me. Maybe. The human stepped slightly closer, raising one hand in a gesture of peace, yet firm in its message. "I do not want to fight," he said, "but if you harm her, you will regret it." The words were simple, yet the tone carried a weight that made the hunters pause. The alien girl could feel the air shift, tension vibrating like a living thing around them. Each hunter seemed caught between pride, anger, and fear, unsure which choice to make. The leader's jaw tightened, his eyes flicking toward the others. "We will not leave empty-handed," he spat, but his voice wavered slightly. Uncertainty creeping in, the human tilted his head slightly, calm and deliberate. "You can leave now, and no harm will come to you, but if you stay, you risk everything." The alien girl's breath caught. She could see the hesitation in the hunters, the cracks forming in their confidence. Small whispers passed among the hunters, low and hurried, their leader's hand twitching toward a weapon. But the human did not flinch, did not threaten. He simply stood, unwavering, letting the silence and his presence do the work. The alien girl's heart pounded faster, her small body trembling. With a mix of fear and hope, She had never imagined someone could face the hunters like this. "And survive," the leader growled, his face dark with rage, but he took a step back. The first sign of surrender, the human's gaze softened slightly. "Still alert, still strong, leave her and go quietly," he said. And the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the hunter's next move. The alien girl clutched the bars tightly, whispering a silent plea, her hope fragile but growing. The hunters hesitated, glancing at one another, the leader's pride warring with his fear. Finally, with a sharp nod, he motioned to the others, and they began to step back. Slowly, eyes still wary, watching the human closely, the alien girl's chest rose and fell rapidly, relief washing over her in small waves, but she stayed still, not daring to believe completely until the danger had passed. The human did not lower his guard, eyes still scanning the shadows, ready for any sudden move, but the hunters retreated, disappearing slowly into the forest, leaving only the echo of their angry murmurs behind. The alien girl let out a small breath she had been holding, her tiny body relaxing slightly. The human turned to her then, his expression softening, and she felt, for the first time since capture, that she might actually be safe. He knelt slightly, bringing his face closer to her through the bars. "You are safe now," he said again, voice gentle, reassuring. And the alien girl felt the tension in her chest ease a little. She nodded slowly, tears of relief welling in her eyes, whispering, "Thank you," though she did not fully understand how to express her gratitude. The human smiled faintly, still cautious, still aware of the forest around them. For the first time, the alien girl dared to imagine freedom, dared to imagine a life beyond the hunters, beyond the cage. Her hope had returned, fragile but real, and she clung to it tightly, waiting for what would come next. The alien girl's heart raced as the human unlocked the cold metal bars of the cage, the soft click of the lock echoing in the quiet forest. She pressed close to him, small hands brushing against his side, the warmth of his presence, a strange comfort. The forest seemed darker now, but the shadows felt less threatening with him near. The alien girl took a hesitant step forward, her feet brushing the mossy ground, relief and fear twisting together in her chest. The human gestured for her to follow, voice calm, "Stay close and do exactly as I say." The alien girl nodded quickly, swallowing the lump in her throat. She did not trust herself to speak, her voice too shaky. Her mind raced, imagining the hunters returning, imagining traps and ambushes hidden among the trees, but she forced herself to focus on each step, each movement, keeping pace with the human. They moved quickly through the forest, the alien girl's bare feet slipping on wet moss, yet the human's careful guidance kept her safe. His movements were deliberate, confident, scanning the shadows, with sharp, intelligent eyes. Every rustle, every whisper of the wind was noticed, every strange sound analyzed and avoided. The alien girl marveled silently at his skill, a mixture of awe and fear filling her chest. Suddenly, a branch snapped nearby, sharp and sudden, making her jump violently. Her hand clutched the human's arm, and she pressed close, heart hammering. She waited, holding her breath, expecting the hunters to appear, but the human did not panic, did not flinch. He simply turned his head slightly, eyes scanning the darkness, and motioned for her to move forward. The alien girl followed, trusting him completely. Even though fear still clung to her like a second skin, the forest seemed alive around them, the trees twisting and shifting in the faint moonlight. Strange glowing plants lit their path, casting eerie shadows that danced across the forest floor. The alien girl's pulse quickened. Every step felt dangerous, every shadow a possible threat. Yet the human's calm presence anchored her, giving her courage she did not know she had. She could almost feel her hope growing with every careful step. A sudden rustle behind them made her freeze. She glanced over her shoulder, expecting hunters, but saw nothing. Only the dark trees swaying with the wind, yet the fear did not leave. Her chest, it tightened with every step, reminding her that freedom was not yet guaranteed. The human motioned for silence, and they moved slower, quieter. Blending with the forest as if it were a part of them, they reached a narrow stream, its water glowing faintly under the moonlight. The human knelt down, gesturing for her to follow. "We can use the water to mask our scent," he whispered. Voice soft, the alien girl nodded, dipping her hands into the cool, flowing water. Shivering as the icy liquid ran over her fingers, she followed him carefully, stepping into the shallow stream, letting the current carry her forward, her fear battling with wonder at the glowing forest around them. Suddenly, a sound soft but deliberate echoed from deeper in the forest. The alien girl froze, eyes wide, heart pounding. Could the hunters have followed them? Could there be another danger? Her small body trembled, and she pressed close to the human, seeking reassurance. His hand rested briefly on her back, steadying her, and she felt a spark of calm amidst the chaos. The stream twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the forest. The alien girl's legs burned from running, her chest heaving, but she did not dare slow down. She could feel the presence of the hunters somewhere behind, their anger and frustration like a shadow pressing on them. The human kept moving, careful, deliberate, avoiding loose branches, slippery rocks, and the strange glowing plants that could hide danger. Every step was a careful dance between survival and speed. Finally, the trees began to thin, the moonlight spilling more brightly onto the forest floor. The alien girl's heart leaped with cautious hope. Freedom seemed closer, but she did not dare speak, did not dare celebrate. The human glanced back, once eyes scanning the darkness before continuing forward. Guiding her with steady confidence, her small hands clutched the human's arm tightly, each step carrying them closer to safety. She dared to imagine the hunters losing track of them, the night turning from danger into possibility. The forest whispered around them, alive and mysterious. Yet the alien girl felt for the first time in hours that she might actually escape, that she might survive, that the human had changed everything. And as they moved together through the glowing, shadowed forest, the alien girl realized that her fate, once so dark and certain, was now uncertain in the best way. Full of hope, full of possibility, ready for a future she had never dared to dream of before.